Councilmember Draper.
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay, I think that we should move the public communication to the back of the meeting and get our business out of the way first, because I think we might be here for a while with all the people that want to comment. So looking for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I move that we adopt the consent calendar.
And I'll second that.
That's fine.
Come on. Councilmember Goodson.
Yes.
Councilmember Draper.
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open this up for public hearings. Mr. City Administrator, you said that 2 of these items in public hearings have been pulled from the agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The agenda is indicating that item number 7, zoning code amendment, and item number 8, zoning code change, will be continued until the December 1st meeting, 2020.
Okay, so be it. Item number 6 then, conduit financing for the Stream Charter School project.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This evening, we have a public hearing to pursue the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or a TEFRA hearing. The TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held by this governing body of the jurisdiction in which the project is being financed with a tax-exempt financing it is located in. And that governing body is to approve the proposed financing. Stream Charter School is asking that the California Municipal Finance Authority be the issuer of these tax-exempt financing bonds in an amount not to exceed $14 million. The proceeds of the bonds will be used for financing, refinancing, and/or reimbursing the acquisition, construction, improvement, renovation, and equipping of land and the charter school educational facilities. The CMFA is a joint powers authority formed to assist local governments, nonprofit organizations, and businesses with the issuance of both taxable and tax-exempt bonds. Debt to be issued by the CMFA will be the sole responsibility of the borrower, and the City of Oroville will have no further financial or legal obligations or responsibilities with regard to the repayment of these bonds.
Don,
Yes.
can you hang on for just 1 second? Council, yeah, you should, well, Councilmember Thompson.
Vice Mayor Thompson.
I'm sorry. Vice Mayor Thompson is recusing himself. His wife is part-time employed by Stream, so he's going to recuse himself on this
Okay.
item.
Okay. Okay. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation of the city. The city will also bear no cost in the issuance of the proposed debt of these bonds. This is a private loan with the borrower and their bank. It is recommended that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the issuance of the bonds by the CMFA or for the benefit of the borrower. Such adoption is solely for the purposes of satisfying the requirements of the TEFRA, the code, and the CMFA's joint powers agreement. And on the line, we have Anthony Stubbs with the bonding agency, and also we have Principal Don Phillips to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item, Madam Clerk?
Are there any speakers on teams that want to speak on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe I have any public speakers on this item.
Having none, are there any comments or questions from this dais?
I just,
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, I didn't realize we were going to have a couple of people from the charter school. First of all, Stream Charter School is, I think, a wonderful addition to our community, and it's an alternative that's presented to our community as well. I think that's, I just like the work and a lot of just positive, comments continually stream from Stream. That being said, I just have some concerns about the location. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, and this may even be off into the weeds a little bit regarding even what you're requesting here, but just that site for a permanent location. So, and my question is, have you looked at other possible locations, and or is this pretty much set? And has the city kind of, I guess, evaluated establishing a school in that location there? And is this the best fit? I mean, this is kind of really, coming out as, haven't really had a lot of time, to digest this process, and or maybe this is kind of, I'm a little out of sync here on even what's being asked, but it's just more of a kind of a 30,000-foot question of establishing a school at that site, located in the business area. So maybe you can help me with that.
Well, I think Principal Don Phillips would be the best to answer that question.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've been in this location now 7 years, and we've used about 52% of this facility. And so the idea that we're looking at is purchasing the facility, continuing to live in the 52% that we've been in, purchase the field that we've been using as a playground, expand the playground, add a gym and some more classrooms and some landscaping and another field in back. And so it's kind of a full project, but we are very comfortable with the location. Our families enjoy the location because we are freeway close and very convenient to the city because we have students from all over the area.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not stating I'm even necessarily opposed to it. It's just kind of more of a question what that process looked like. And then I guess the tenants, there's some businesses in there. Are some of the businesses, are you going to actually take over additional space, or is it just going to be you're going to buy that facility and then sublet back out to the businesses that are there?
Yeah, we don't necessarily want frontage, and so we're going to continue with those tenants across the front. And the empty spaces that are there currently, we will probably fill those spots, but not bother the tenants that are currently there.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Goodson wishes to speak. Councilmember Goodson.
Thank you. So this bond is not $2 million. Is that correct? And so my question, I'm trying to make it as concise as possible. Is this tailor-made to and for Stream charter school project, or are there now or in the future any additional charter school educational facilities that could enter into this contractual agreement? Because it's pretty broad. The bond is to assist with financing or reimbursing for acquisition, construction. I mean, there's a lot of moving. So is this specifically tailored to solely Stream, or can other school entities enter into this as well?
Councilperson Goodson, I believe I can answer that. This is specific to Stream. This is a TEFRA hearing for their bond. Nobody else will access this funding or have access to this funding. If another charter school wished to do it, they could certainly follow the same process that Stream has utilized, and also, I'm sure, utilize the same company that is assisting Stream to help them with this type of funding.
Thank you, Bill.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this item? Having no one, Looking for a motion to adopt resolution number 8909.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Yikes. I have one other question.
You say you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you heard me. I'm just curious, how the amount not to exceed 14 million was derived at. Mr. Phillips? Is that?
Well, yeah, it's a not to exceed because once we've gone through this hearing, if, for example, the amount went over that, we wouldn't be able to complete the project because that's a cap. So we're anticipating the actual cost to be 10 million, but they have suggested that we have a cap or a not to exceed amount.
A cushion.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Councilmember
Ready to
Goodson?
go?
Councilmember Goodson?
Yes.
Councilmember Draper?
Yes.
And carries with 6 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 abstention.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9, General Plan Amendment GPA 20-02, proposed minor revisions to the Oroville General Plan, including editing the safety element, changing the land use designation and zoning of a portion of APN 035-250-002, and changing the land use designation of 6 parcels of North Table Mountain Boulevard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Wes Irvin, city planner. From time to time, the city needs to adjust its general plan. Ours was last adopted and revised in 2015. These are 3 changes driven externally. The first change is a required update of our general plan safety element consistent with the local hazard mitigation plan, which this body approved on January 7th of this year. So the wording, the exact wording is dictated by the local hazard mitigation plan requirements. The second is a rezone of a portion of acreage that is at the back of our corporation yard. And our hope is to deed 3.91 acres eventually to the Veterans Housing Development Corporation for a future affordable housing veterans project. If not, it'll be available for any other multifamily housing project. And third, changing the general plan designation of 6 parcels north of the city limits, but which the county has rezoned at the request of the 6 property owners. And so we are making this general plan change consistent with the county's action they've already taken. Staff recommends approval. We're available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the public on this item?
Are there any public speakers on the Teams link that would like to speak on this item? Mr. Mayor, seeing none, I do not have any public speakers on this item.
Having none, are there any questions or statements from this dais about this item?
I have it, just quickly.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we received some correspondence from Tribal Health, and they raised a couple of concerns. And so my question is, you feel comfortable and have we adequately addressed those concerns raised in that letter, the correspondence?
Those concerns are in the process of being evaluated.
Okay.
We have a consultant on board who's helping us with that environmental assessment, federal environmental document. So that has yet to be completed.
Okay, super.
Councilmember Goodson, you're in the queue. Did you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Wes, I'm just curious, was the amendment to the general plan land use regarding the 3.91 acre portion? Was it specifically, was veteran housing in mind?
Yes, we've been talking with them for several months about this, and this is a step in the process of working with them to complete the project.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or statements on this item? Having none, looking for a motion to approve resolution number 8910.
So moved.
I'll second,
I second that.
or Janet can have it, that's fine.
Councilmember Goodson,
Yes.
Councilmember Draper,
Yes.
motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay, and with that, we will close public hearings. Moving on to regular business. Item number 10, authorization for paint and installation of reflective tape on traffic signals at 9 city intersections by St. Francis Electric.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is a proactive request from our Public Works Department to paint the back plates and install or adhere yellow reflective tape to 9 of our intersections throughout the city of Oroville. I have a map here for you. I couldn't get more to print, so I apologize. I'll pass this around. I've emailed this to council members Goodson and Councilmember Draper. So this is at a proactive state, as I said. Our Public Works Department has noticed that a mandate should be coming down soon, and the county has already begun implementing this measure to the traffic signal locations within the county regions. You'll see it at Ophir Road, along 162. The back plates of our traffic signals have this reflective yellow tape around them to help with safety. So we're requesting $20,750 for the installation at these 9 locations throughout the city.
My agenda says $20,250.
That is from the quote from St. Francis Electric. There's an extra $500 for the city to purchase the roll of 500 feet of the yellow reflective tape from the county directly. So that makes it the $20,750.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item?
Is there anyone on the Teams League that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I do not have any public speakers on this item.
Are there anyone from the is there anyone from the dais who wishes to speak on this item?
Just good job on
Councilwoman
public safety
Smith.
stuff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and the more that we can identify, I mean, this great.
I'll pass that along to the team.
Having no more comments, we're looking for a approval for the contract for St. Francis Electric for $20,750.
So moved?
Second.
What I actually heard was a contract for $20,250 and then $500 to buy the tape, just to clarify.
Yes, sir. You're right. Clarify contract for St. Francis Electric for $20,250 with $500 approved for the city to buy the reflective tape.
Councilmember Goodson,
Yes.
Councilmember Draper,
Yes.
motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay, we're going to go back to public communication. I would like can the members of the public hear me?
Mr. Mayor, they should be able to hear you through the outside speakers and also through the Teams link.
Okay, I would like to remind everyone that one person per device.
Excuse me.
You're not going to have multiple people on one device. So I need a number of members of the public that wish to communicate, so we can
Mr. Mayor,
take the time.
looking on the screen, we have 4 people logged in.
4? Okay.
4
that'll be-
and 2 council members.
That will be 2 minutes at each. If we go over 10, we go to a minute and a half. We have the first speaker.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Identify yourself and then make your statement.
Identify yourself.
This is Kevin Thompson, Pastor Kevin Thompson. How many minutes do I have?
2.
2 minutes. Okay. First of all, we're here. We rise. We come down here to support our community. For one, my heart is broken tonight. I can't imagine the overreach and just the gall of what's taking place on the dais at the Oroville City Council. The Oroville Southside Community Center. Contributors gave to build a community center, not to build a city hall, not to be kicked out. This community center has been a beacon of hope for the entire community. And for you to flex your muscles and for you to do what you're doing, it's tragic. It's shameful. And I ask that you pump your brakes right now. You have been deadbeat dads for over 20 years. What deadbeat dad will come back and look for a relationship after 20 years of your absentees? Allow the community center to keep doing what it's doing. Yeah. Allow the community center to keep serving the community. Yeah. What are you going to do with it? You can't serve like we're serving our own community and beyond. It's disgraceful. And I pray that you have a conscience. I pray that you just have a heartbeat of a human being and stop right now.
Pastor Thompson, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You mentioned, sir, that this is an action that happened on this dais. What was the date and time of that action, sir?
No, we're not talking about action. We're talking about the discussion.
My second question, Pastor Thompson, is, because you've answered that one, my second question is, what discussion, sir?
We're not, whatever you're discussing in your agenda item in closed session, you didn't have the stones to put the name Southside Community Center on the agenda. You put 2959 and you put all the APN numbers there with it. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out what you were discussing in closed session.
Are you telling me, sir, that a member of this council disclosed what was discussed in closed session?
No, council. I'm not that naive, sir. I'm not that naive.
Yes.
This council, some of this council is the greatest people you ever want to meet. But you put the agenda items out to the community, and you said potential litigation for those areas. What does that mean to this community? I don't know what you're saying about any council member sharing anything. We are able to read. We are not dummies. We read what you put on the agenda. So if you're insinuating that someone told me something, you are wrong again, sir.
Appreciate your comments. Next speaker.
I appreciate yours as well, sir.
Would Lisa Torres or Sharon McGovern like to speak on this item?
Lisa. Lisa. I'll talk to next time.
And Lisa Torres is coming. And by the way, I got a public records information from the county of Butte, which Grant sent me, And that's why I got all of my information is from Butte County, by the way.
Go ahead and mute that one and go to Lisa Torres. The mayor said one device, one comment.
Lisa Torres, if you would like to speak, you need to unmute your mic.
Is she on the same device?
She's trying to use, but she's also, Lisa, you need to use your own device if you would like to speak.
We can't have
can you
multiple
unmute?
speakers on the same device.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Is she on the
So
same
what
device?
I want to
No,
say
sir, she's on her
is,
own.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Ms. Torres, we can
yes.
hear you.
So my concern is that we have worked really hard for the community center to be a community center. And that's exactly what it is. It is not for the city to come and take away from the community. We have invested time, love, blood, and sweat into this program. We accommodate funerals, weddings, parties, events that mean something to people. And they come to the Southside Community Center because of the love and integrity that they know that we will extend to them. We also have our children there. There is an e-center there. You will be throwing out some kids that don't deserve this. They are children that come from homes that are broken sometimes. They need daycare. And so this is a way for them to learn. This is their stepping stone. And for you to try to come take it out of them, that's not right. How can you live with yourself knowing that you're about to take away something that the community has built? Not you, not the city. We are a team. There is no I in team. It's teamwork. So what we're asking and applying and begging that you leave the Southside Community Center, because first of all, we are out here in the rain, dedicated. And you know what? I shouldn't even use beg. We should use common sense to know that you don't take away nothing from children and from a community of love. And to think that nobody was going to step up and say anything, you were dead wrong.
I'm sorry your time's up.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Shannon has not responded that she wants to speak, and that would be the only other screen I have on here.
I don't know who Shannon.
So I don't have any more speakers.
Go ahead.
So
Can I
that's
say
it?
something?
Mute them, please.
They can unmute themselves.
What are we doing?
Is there Shannon McGovern?
She comes on a couple meetings, so I don't think she wants to speak on this item. Mr. Mayor, I believe that's the last one that I have on that item.
Who?
And
Can you identify yourself
just want-
and?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's the
They
same
keep
device.
unmuting themselves.
Oh, it's the same. I'm sorry, you cannot speak on the same device. You have to have your own device.
The only other thing I can do if they keep unmuting is kick them out of the room.
Is that it for the speakers?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, we have received four public comments regarding this item. They were provided
No one
to all
else
of
is
the
holding
council
the
members
device but
and
one
was also
person.
sent to the council members that aren't present. They will be included as part of the minutes and part of the record.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to end public communication. Moving on to reports, discussions, correspondence, council announcements and reports. Anyone have anything?
I do.
Councilmember Pittman.
Yeah, I just want to report back on the Oroville Dam Citizens Advisory Oversight Safety Meeting, which was held on Friday. And the big issue brought forth there was the comprehensive needs analysis that's been worked on for months over so many different issues related to the failure of the spillway and operation of the dam, and that needs assessment report was published on Friday. It's a deep report, it's many pages long, and they're looking at a lot of issues. The issues that were discussed on Friday as a beginning opening to that report were the I can yell louder than that, but I'm going to wait till it's done. I don't want to burn your ears out. Okay, one of the short summary was the flood operational policy has been upgraded. The last time it was written is back in the 70s, so how they operate the flood during the course of the winter has been changed and updated, so that was a big change. The lining of the Palermo ditch so that it doesn't, as a protection to the switchyard, the ditch is higher than the switchyard and it could overspill and flood the switchyard, which would cause subsequent problems and possible shutdown of the power units, which means they couldn't flow any water out of the powerhouse. So there's culmination consequence events. The big discussion was the low water discharge. Between the powerhouse and the spillway, they have no control over the rate of rise. And there's a considerable discussion about either another outlet or, well, like I say, they got a plumbing problem. If a power unit goes down, they have to stop flow through it, so they reduce their flow through the powerhouse. And that's what happened a number of times here in the flood winter operations. So they're trying to address that question. There's a lot of suggestions, and they'll still be looking at those. And the issue that I've been raised in particular issue to our observation is the Ron Roby powerhouse out in Thermalito had a fire. And that fire was pretty devastating to that powerhouse. The question I raised, that powerhouse and the Hyatt powerhouse were built at the same time, same components. Is there been a review if those components in the powerhouse could fail like the ones in the Thermalito powerhouse we know it is, it's called the Ron Roby powerhouse, are the same components. They do have a work going on mitigation to that effect, and they'll soon to be given a fire public safety report to the next meeting. So that's a concern raised, I think reasonably, that you had a fire at that one and ever the components failed. What about the other one as they're the same components? So those are the big topics. It's ongoing. It's a big meeting. They were having it with the virtual process, and many players at the table asking a lot of questions. It's a good meeting. It lasted almost 4 hours, I think. And the next meeting will be, I believe, in February, but there'll be more discussion about the CNA that's been a work in progress. So just to report back on that committee.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, just real quick, we had an ORAC meeting this past Friday, and it was reported out from State Parks that due to some prescribed burns that have been done up in the Loafer Creek area, they really feel that that probably saved Kelly Ridge. And so they just, wanted to, just let the community know that, that there's a lot being done to mitigate some of the, issues of fuel reduction. And DWR is also participating in that. So I just thought that was great work. And also because of that fuel reduction program, that probably we also saved the Loafer Creek campground, which was minimally damaged. And additionally, they wanted the public to be aware that PG&E had come in there. I guess there was some concern about PG&E and their presence down there, but PG&E was providing, I guess, a lot of services to the area, tree removal, and that it was just a good partnership, and they just wanted, again, the public to be aware of that as well.
Thank you.
You brought up another point that I forgot to write down here in my notes, the issue of reforestation of the lands around the lake and hydroseeding, especially the lands around Highway 162. We have lost that road once before in the past, and when we lost that road, it was about 9 months before it was ever returned to operational use, and that's a one-way in, one-way out. When the winter snows come and you can't make it out through Bucks Lake, there was operations that occurred where people were transported by Army ducks across the lake. So I asked, and the OES director said they'd be taking a special mention to erosion control, as we're seeing it right now with the rains, especially along Dam and then the road to Feather Falls. Those soils are unprotected right now, and they did recognize that as a factor that needs to be addressed.
And also, I think the goats came up, so there was also some applause, additional applause for our city manager, Mr. Legrone, and the goat effort as well. Just to feel, doing everybody working
Billy's
together
goats.
with the goats. But good job. Yeah, but that, again, just everyone working together, teamwork, and those fuel reductions will go a long way. And they were just really emphasizing. You could just see the difference in the burn and the heat with the areas that had those mitigations done versus areas that didn't.
Thank you. Councilmember Hatley.
Thank you. A couple things. First, with us being moved back into this purple tier, that always kind of just, well, for lack of a better word, kind of irritates me a little bit, because it's not Oroville that got us into this position. I think if you look at where all these cases are coming from, is probably a little bit north of us. And so, but we're going to suffer. And I just, I feel for the business people that are trying to make a living here and trying to do what's right. And I know it's tough on them. And it just kind of makes me angry a little bit that one city can impact us and harm our businesses, when we really, if you kind of look around, we're doing quite a bit here, like we're supposed to do. And so that was I just wanted to make that comment, that I just feel for these business people, because they've got to make a living, and I just don't know how they're going to keep doing it with this, keep going on this way. The other thing is, with that being said, with the inclement weather that we're going to be having apparently now from now on, and we can't let people in here, is there something we can do, like some kind of a covering or something, whether it's between the buildings or however we can do it, so that when the public does come here and want to speak to us, they're not standing out in the, at least they've got a cover over their head. Is there something we can do about that, just so they can come down if they want to do that?
It is something that can be done if that's what the council would like. If you'd like, we could bring you back a couple of options at another meeting so that you can make a decision if you'd like to put up something temporary out front during this time.
Well, I just don't know how we can say, the public's, we want their comment, but then they got to stand out in the rain and stuff if it's raining or whatever. And I understand if the wind's blowing, it's blowing, and that's just Mother Nature. But
Actually, they could log in from their home, right?
Well, anyone could log in that wants to through Teams and participate in the meeting if they choose to.
It's unnecessary to stand out there.
This is such a unusual time that, it's not only us, it's all public meetings seem to be gone virtual all of a sudden based upon the governor's move yesterday, moving us to the purple tier. But, if we wanted to do something more, we can certainly bring back those options to our council so that they can give us further direction on that. I mean, so what the cost is for that. And, my concern is that whatever we put up out front, we need to make sure that it's not permanent, but it's also, it'll be okay leaving it out there overnight, because I don't really necessarily want to be out there at 8:30 at night taking down a pop-up or something like that that's covered with water, because I'm afraid someone's going to steal it.
no, I understand.
So we can certainly bring you back some prices on something that's a little bit more robust than just a pop-up.
Yeah, I would like to just see what it would cost to do that,
Yes, sir.
because I don't, I have an iPad, that I had got from the city, and it's like, 80 years old, and so I can't, you don't do Zoom, you don't do any of that stuff with it.
Yes, sir.
And so, and I was offered, it's not the city's fault, I was offered a new one, and I said no, because I don't do that stuff. I don't Facebook or any of that stuff, so I don't need it. But I'm just saying that I'm sure there's probably other old guys out there like me that have an older piece of equipment that just is not compatible to that. But I would appreciate that. Thank you.
At the next meeting, we'll bring back some options and prices.
Thank you.
Councilmember Goodson.
Your mute your.
We can't hear you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Councilman Hatley, for bringing that up. I know that, we live in the 21st century. You would just think that everybody can Zoom. We have gone to a virtual type of engagement, but I find that even in the arena that I work in, there are people that do not want to, they have Safari and other search engines, and they're, whatever the reason, has stifled them from going into a Google Chrome. Some are not computer savvy, and they want to engage in person as much as they can, even if it is under a covering and awning of some type, in close proximity to City Hall. So thank you, Bill, for your willingness to research that and come back with options.
Is there anyone else who wishes to comment?
Yeah,
Mayor Thompson?
just for our building people, because it's leaking, obviously, that we just had our roof done with a TPO with a 20-year warranty, parts and labor. So TPO roofing is pretty good with a 20-year parts and labor warranty is kind of unbeatable, so.
Our roof is great during the summer. It never leaks.
Right.
If there are no other comments, future agenda items?
I have one.
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, so, and it goes back to the public safety with the work that Don brought forward about the street lights. Additionally, I know we have a lot of intersections, especially in the older part of town, off of Montgomery, where some of the little, I'm sure there's a technical term for it, the white strip by where the stop sign is.
The limit line.
What's that?
Limit line.
Limit line. And there may be other limit lines or other public safety stripings, just so people know where they're supposed to stop. If we could look at maybe doing some of that work.
How about if we bring you an update program of when we're doing that? 'Cause
Okay.
that is occurring. It's just, where they're at and, what we got scheduled.
And it's anecdotal, but it just seems like that we've had an increase in traffic collisions and so all the safety pieces and things that we can, attack, I think is just a good idea.
I think what we'll do is we'll have our public works people come in and give you an update on the roadway markings and what the program is, and so you're familiar with when they're going to be doing that and how much is done each year.
Okay.
Bill nailed what I was going to say.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, any more future agenda items? Administration reports, Bill.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, it's listed on the agenda to review the warming shelter or the warming center's operational criteria. As you know, in January of 2020, we visited this issue. The council gave direction at the time that the financial participation of the city for a warming center would only occur when it was 45 degrees outside and there was rain, or it was 40 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour sustained wind for more than 3 consecutive days. At the time when we did this, it sounded like it was a good idea as far as laying this out. This is a very strict criteria that is seldomly met. So the city's ability to financially participate with the warming center is extremely limited based on this criterion. So what I'm looking for is the council still comfortable with this? And if they are, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it to their attention. It is getting colder. It is something that needs to be done. I have reached out to our 3 primary service providers to the homeless in the city of Oroville. I have heard back from the rescue mission, who says that they are happy to step forward and do what they do and make their kitchen available as a warming center if need be. They did not request any financial consideration for doing that, just kind of laid out what they would do and providing a solution. I have not heard back from the Haven of Hope yet or from the Hope Center. So, I'm really looking for just some general guidance on this or a consensus of the council. If you're comfortable where we're at, we can stay where we're at. If you'd like to have this item come back so we can discuss it further, we can do that as well.
Okay. Tom?
There's a hand raised there on the screen.
People,
Janet?
There's
Miss
two.
Councilmember
Well, there's two
Goodson?
hands raised. I believe that Linda wanted to speak, wanted to address this issue, and then I have another separate item.
Well, my concern is that with the addition of the, if it needing to be 3 consecutive days and it had to have the wind be, 15 miles per hour? I don't know how reasonable that is to expect people, if they are conducting this kind of program, to check and find out not only the temperature, which is understandable that that's in there, but also how much the wind is blowing. And so I think it's kind of an added restriction. My other concern is that, the city recently gave a pretty large grant to the Hope Center to expand their building, and they moved it over to Fifth Avenue. And so I'm wondering why they're not responding, because from my understanding, they were supposed to have a lot more room there. And I don't know how much room the rescue mission has in their kitchen, but I doubt that it would be enough to house very many people in inclement weather.
Councilperson Draper, I can answer a couple of those for you. The first one regarding the Hope Center, they have not moved yet. They are still in that process. And the grant dollars that we applied for through CDBG have not been awarded yet. We've just applied for that grant. So that is that process. I understand what you're saying about the monies, but that is still really early in on that particular facility. But I will continue to reach out to them and try to get some sort of response.
Yeah, did Pastor Terry say how many people he could accommodate in the kitchen at the rescue mission?
No, ma'am, he did not. I am, and I've never seen the kitchen at the rescue mission. I believe it's a commercial style kitchen, so it's not, I'm pretty sure it's a fairly large kitchen.
Okay. I'm not sure, because I've taken food over there and I saw a small area, but I didn't notice a large kitchen at all. So, but it's been a couple of years, so I don't know. Okay.
Councilmember Goodson, do you wish to speak?
Yes, it is quite small, their kitchen. I wanted, Councilman Thompson, this is really your baby. I don't want to steal your thunder, but are there any updates on the railing up towards going up Table Mountain? Or did we put that in the parking lot?
I can answer that. We're working on the design. Something to bring back to council.
To add on to that, something I've been talking to Mr. Legrone about is, since it seemed like, does this go down? It's like I go close and the volume goes down. Sorry, look at you, Jackie. Potentially, since it's taken so long for a wall, we've been talking about it for now over a year. The thought potentially that I brought out right now is to replace at least the chain link, because as everybody knows, it's pretty hideous. We don't want to throw money in something temporarily, but in my opinion, something needs to be done because it's just unsightly.
And I can piggyback onto that and dovetail into those comments. The fencing that's up there now, we could replace, and we could go back and reclaim that fencing and use it at another location once the wall does get done. One of the items that you approved tonight was the addition of additional engineering assistance. We've had one engineer that's been doing all of the engineering for the city for the last several months or year, and it's, he works very hard, but we have more work than one person can do. So I think you will start seeing more projects coming out faster now that we have more engineers that we can reach out to assist us with those projects. I realize that this has taken a long time, and we've tried to be as translucent as possible, but there's a lot of moving pieces in this that we haven't done yet. So we'll continue our translucency and make sure that you are aware of what's going on.
So, Bill, can I just want to throw this out there, because I know What the long-term project is, and that's in process right now, is approximately, I think, 116. It's a housing complex where the olive orchard is now.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would venture to say that whatever whatever that structure, the dynamic looks like, that we would want to have that wall or fence be compatible and consistent with what that design is, so that it looks as one.
Right, I think
So
that's a
just
great
something-
thought. I think that's a great thought, and thank you for bringing that forward, because what we'll do is we'll work with Wes as they bring in their plans to make sure that they incorporate something that looks similar to what we're going to be doing down there, to make the area look uniform. Thank you. That's a great thought.
Thank you.
Tom? Do you have any comments? Leo, do you have any reports? No, I don't. Ruth? Dawn?
Just wanted to update you on, as you can see, the leaks that have occurred in City Hall recently. As of Friday, we have 3 leaks. There's one here in City Hall, a new one here that we have discovered. The Municipal Auditorium has sprung a leak, and also the 2000 Challenger Avenue building where Bentif formerly was and PAR is now. So just being transparent with the council, we have 3 leaks that we've been chasing. We are actively taking care of them, and they will be addressed, or they are being addressed and will be completed soon.
So, question on the.
Vice Mayor Thompson?
Thank you. Isn't the Muni a new roof, or has that not been done yet?
It's not finished yet. So the open areas where the climate wizards were moved off the roof, there was still intrusions in the ceiling there, so that caused some leaks. So they are taking care of that. They were out there till 6:30 on Friday, and they were back out there again today, taking care of those locations. So just update council in case questions arise.
Chief Deal?
No, sir. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Mr. Huber? All right, well, I guess that about wraps it up. We will adjourn until December 1st, 2020 at 4:30 PM.